Hey guys, before we start, just wanted to say that this episode of the You Ask Me podcast is sponsored by Mudwater. Mudwater is an awesome coffee alternative that blends delicious organic ingredients such as adaptogenic mushrooms and turmeric, designed to give you a sustained energy without the jitters. Each serving of Mudwater comes with only 1/7 the amount of caffeine that comes with coffee, so you get a focused energy boost without the crash. And if you're looking to cut back on coffee, Mudwater is a great alternative that is also gluten-free, vegan, and keto friendly. So, if you're ready to upgrade your morning, feel free to use my link and try Mudwater out. You'll get 15% off any new purchase that you buy, and if you decide to subscribe and get a starter kit, you'll get $20 off along with a free frother. So go ahead, try it out, ditch coffee, drink Mudwater. Now, back to the episode. Welcome back, everybody, to the You Ask We podcast, the show where you ask questions, they answer them, and I'm just the guy in the middle. And this week we have an awesome episode. She's a first generation American that began swimming at age 6. And since then, she now competes at the D1 level for Rice University and also represents Team Israel in swimming. I want to give a warm, warm welcome to Arielle Hayon. Arielle, how's everything?
Hi, I'm good. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. So yeah, I mean, you know how the show works. We got a bunch of questions that people submitted, but the first question always comes from me, and that's what's new? What's going on?
So I just moved into my new apartment, I guess. It's kind of like a guest house for my senior year of college, which is crazy.
Congrats.
And the semester just started. I just had my first week of classes. So yeah, kind of everything is new. I'm back in Houston and it's good to be back and set my eyes on the last year of college swimming and the last year of my academic career. It's definitely a lot of new exciting stuff.
So what are you majoring in?
I'm a managerial economics major and a business minor.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so recently I think I decided that I'm going to go into finance post grad, but I'm not really sure how my whole career in swimming will work out post grad because I think I decided that I want to keep swimming post grad, keep on chasing my goals. So, yeah, I think it'll be interesting to try to balance a career and a 20-hour schedule with swimming, but I think I'll figure it out and maybe I'll continue my studies for a little bit before I just hop into the work life.
It's honestly like funny looking at like different professional athletes because like you have people like basketball players and football players that like go to the league and stuff like that, but you have Olympian athletes. Like actually a few episodes back, I interviewed Hannah Soares. She's someone that like a while ago she qualified for the Winter Olympics for skiing. Um and like she was working at BlackRock the last time I
Yeah,
talked to her. So it's
that's
so funny
incredible.
seeing like these Olympian level athletes just like working day-to-day finance jobs.
Yeah. I heard that there was a guy on the US men's rowing team. He got a gold medal and he works in finance.
Wow.
It's honestly incredible how they managed to do both, but it's inspiring and it tells me that hopefully I can do the same.
Yeah, God willing, 100%. 100%. You're gonna. So, yeah, let's get into some of these questions. Like before we get to the future, let's kind of like move to the past. Like what inspired you to be the athlete you are today? Like what got you into swimming?
Yeah.
What pushed you?
So I started swimming when I was 6. And I think when I started, I was definitely still like trying to figure out what sport was the right fit for me because my mom was really persistent that we would all do a sport. She just wanted us to all have a big hobby or something to do outside of school. I think keeping your kids busy is always a really good strategy. And swimming just kind of stuck because I'm so competitive for good or for bad. I'm a little too competitive in many ways, but it's definitely been to my benefit in swimming. So I just love the fact that I could race people all the time. Like that was my favorite part. And then I started competing when I was 7, and I feel like I just kind of had a little bit of a natural knack to it. I just loved the feeling of being in the water. I loved racing other people. It just seemed like the perfect fit. And I think today when I look at all my goals and what kind of pushes me to achieve all of them, it's definitely that feeling of like looking back at the little 6-year-old girl who would watch the Olympics on TV and be like so inspired and be like, one day I want that to be me, you know? So I think that that is definitely my biggest source of inspiration is just achieving my younger self's goals. Yeah.
That's beautiful. It's like, was there anyone around you that helped like push you to be the swimmer you are?
Yeah, I definitely had a really amazing first coach that taught me how to swim. At least like taught me how to swim at a more competitive level, if that makes any sense. Like she taught me all the strokes, and being in her group on my first club team is what allowed me to start competing and stuff like that. I'll never forget her. Her name's Elaine. She was an incredible coach. She really helped me just be super competitive. I think she loved seeing that like competitive fire in young athletes, and she also made it really fun, which is I think like the most important thing for any athlete at that age is just keeping it really fun and making sure that they're enjoying the sport.
Yeah, honestly, that's the most important thing, especially like because I know for a fact, like when it comes to basketball, there's so many people that like lose the love of the game because of like a bad coach. So it's
Yeah.
like so important to have a good coach at that age.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
And also just like a way to keep it fun.
Yeah,
Because I think ultimately when you're 6, 8, 10 years old, the thing that like really pushes you in the sport is just the fact that it's fun. You like doing it because it's fun. And
mhm,
even when you're 20, 25 years old and you're still doing the same sport, you should still be doing it because it's fun. Like, yes, you have all of these incredible goals that you want to achieve and you're competitive and XYZ, but bottom line, if you're not having fun day in and day out, you're not going to make it very far in your sport.
100%. Yeah. Are there like any Olympians that you like watch specifically that have like an impact on you? Because it's like I feel like when watching like normal sports, like most athletes will be like, oh, I want it to be like for basketball, oh, I want it to be like Mike.
Yeah.
Like, is there anyone like that for you in swimming?
I'm definitely not someone who idolizes other people. I think that I've always found a lot of inspiration in myself and my career, but also I think I grew up in the era that Michael Phelps was just dominating everyone. So it's so easy to look at him and how he changed the sport of swimming and be like, if I had even 10% of the success that he had, I would be so proud, you know? Like he really did shape our sport and made it so much more mainstream. I think every swimmer today could tell you that he kind of did really put swimming on the map, whether whether we like that it wasn't on the map before or not, he definitely did bring swimming onto the map because of his wild amount of success. So, yeah, I also swim sort of similar events that he does. I'm a butterflyer and I also do IM. So, I think watching him just absolutely dominate in so many events is incredibly inspiring. And I think young me was really, really excited about watching him swimming.
Right. So yeah, 100%. He really did that. So yeah, moving on, it's like you grew up to like Israeli parents, right? So like how would you say your Israeli roots influence your approach to like competition and like your overall mindset in these situations?
I think something about us Israelis, maybe even us Jews, I would almost say, is like we're very determined people. I just feel like you can see it in the wild amount of success that our little community has had. And I think that it's because like we sort of have this mindset where it's like no matter what gets thrown at us, we're gonna do and achieve what we want to achieve. Like either way, we're gonna make it happen. And I feel like that is kind of the mindset that I have continued to have and like still try to have because I think that it really makes you a lot more mentally strong. So even though sometimes obviously no athlete's career is going to be linear and perfect, when things kind of get into the way, I'm like, well, this is just a hurdle to cross over before we can achieve the goal. So I think that that's definitely something that growing up with Israeli parents, they instilled in me, like there's no reason why it can't be you. And even though sometimes I didn't believe that at some times, and maybe I had imposter syndrome or whatever, I try and tell myself that over and over. Like, there's no reason why it cannot be you. There's no reason why it can be someone else, but it can't be you. So yeah, I just think just like having this like why not me mindset does definitely come from home. My parents kind of always instilled in me this like you can literally do anything that you want. That anything that you set your mind to, if you work hard at and you ask everyone for help around you and use your resources to your benefit, like you will grow and you will get there. It doesn't really matter who tries to get into your way. So
Mhm.
I definitely think that that does come from home for sure.
100%. And it's like, I mean, specifically the amount of us that have parents that like came to America like on the American dream type of
Yeah.
thing is like insane. And it's like each one of them says like, I made it here. You can do anything.
Yeah,
It's
exactly. I mean, I think like
that
my dad came to the US with nothing and he had four kids and was able to have all of us go to college and do sports in college. And I think that kind of hard work that he put in and my mom put in as well, because she was the one who was driving us to all these practices and everything. It really instilled this like, if they worked this hard for me, I almost feel like I owe it to them to work 10 times harder in return?
100% agree. So speaking of like working hard and like pushing yourself, how do you manage the student athlete like balance and like what strategies help you like excel in those areas?
Yeah, so I think that being a student athlete at Rice is definitely a very challenging feat because Rice is one of the most competitive schools in the
Mhm.
whole US. We were just ranked number 9 by Forbes. So we're definitely like, it's not a walk in the park going to school here. And I wouldn't trade that for anything. Like, I've been academically challenged here more than I ever have in my life, and I've learned so much from it. Not necessarily even in the subjects themselves. I think more so about myself and how I know how to work hard and manage all of these tasks on my plate at once. So for me, I found that like the biggest strategy that has worked for me is probably two things. One, organization. I think in high school, like I didn't really need to be as organized as I am now. Even though I did have a lot of strategies in place, I think college is a whole different ballgame because no one is holding your hand anymore. Professors are not reminding you of assignments that are due. You just have to be a lot more independent in college.
Mhm.
So for sure, being organized is a huge one. Like I write down every single task that I have to do, when the due dates are, like all of those little things to keep me reminded that I have something due or whatever. Google Calendar, I use that thing religiously. If I don't use it, I don't know where I'm supposed to be or when. So yeah, definitely organization. And I think the other big one is using your resources. I think that I'm very lucky at Rice. Student athletes have a lot of resources given to them. We have an academic advisor, a tutor if we need one. You can reach out to your coaches, your teammates, your professors, like anyone in your life usually is there to help you. I know that there are exceptions to professors who don't want to help you, but yeah, I think that if you understand people do want to help you, you can reach out and ask for help. Hey, I'm really struggling to balance this and this. How can I sort this out so that the rest of my semester will work out? That's something you could ask your academic advisor. I'm really struggling in this class. Like, can I please get a tutor? There's just like a lot of resources at your expense. And if you understand that you're not struggling alone, that you're not going to just like push through this all by yourself, I think you'll get it sorted out. And yeah, I think that that's a big piece of advice that I tell a lot of recruits when they look at Rice. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say, yeah, Rice is a walk in the park. It's easy to be a student athlete here. It's not. But I also think that anyone can do it because you have all these resources to help you do it.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like it's literally just like putting the time into everything.
Hmm.
It's like I literally like I would see like student athletes like back in undergrad also, and it's like they would borderline have no life.
Yeah.
Like especially the ones that like took their academics seriously. It's like you would barely see them.
Yeah. And like you can choose to not take your academics seriously, but then I don't really understand why someone would go to a school like Rice and not take their academics seriously, to be
Yeah.
honest. Um, but yeah, I think I've definitely learned how to work in a life with all of that. I think that there's certain things that I've realized I can just do productive things with people because I'm definitely very extroverted and I need that social interaction. So if
Mhm.
I'm going to study for an exam, I'll study with a friend. If I'm going to eat lunch, I'm going to eat lunch anyway. I might as well do it with a friend, you know? So it's just kind of things like that, like working friends and people that you want to see in your day-to-day life into your daily routine and kind of making it all work in that way. And luckily enough, don't swim on Sundays. So I swim every day of the week other than Sundays. So usually Saturday nights or Sundays, I try to do something fun for myself.
Nice. That's cool. And speaking of training, um, what is your like training regimen? Like how do you stay strong like physically and mentally?
Yeah. So I'm definitely trying to learn how to trust the process and trust my coaches and strength trainers that they're going to keep me strong physically. I think that the second that you try to like micromanage that, it can be a little bit overwhelming. And honestly, it's not my area of expertise. I'm not a coach. So I try to trust because I've seen that it has worked in the past. I really try to trust my coaches with the training. I know sometimes it's hard to do that because, you might feel a little bit of anxiety of, oh, I don't know if this is working or if I need more of this or whatever. And there's definitely been times where I've come to my coaches and been like, hey, I feel like I need more of this. And sometimes he'll try to work that in and make just honestly, I think just like make it work so that we feel like we're on the same page. Um, but yeah, in terms of schedule, I usually work out around 20 hours a week, give or take. So we do around 8 swim practices a week, and then 3 lifts a week. And then outside of that, I take care of my body in the training room. I have athletic trainers to use, try to get ahead of any injuries or anything like that. But in terms of staying strong mentally, I we had a athlete psychologist come talk to the team, and I think she used a really great analogy, and that was like you have to keep your bucket full in order to expend any energy in swimming and school and all of these other things that you have to take care of. And I think that's the analogy that I try to use is how can I keep my bucket full? And I think for me, the things that keep my bucket full are spending time with my loved ones, cooking. I love cooking. Just kind of doing any form of self-care, taking some time for myself, whether it be like watching an episode of Love Island. Like I've learned I'm not gonna punish myself for spending time doing self-care or spending time doing things that might not be productive because they're gonna help me be more productive tomorrow, They're gonna help me feel rested and feel like I'm ready to go tomorrow. And outside of that, I think again, there's a lot of resources here that have helped me stay mentally sharp. We have the wellness center, and I've used it multiple times. It was definitely hard being a student athlete here during October 7th when the war started happening. I definitely needed some help. I needed to talk to someone, and I'm really glad that I did because I think it helped me keep going through the rest of the fall semester. And I let my coaches know, like, hey, I'm really struggling with this. And they were there for me as well. And I really appreciate that. I think that that goes beyond their coaching, but they understand that for us to show up every day, we have to be doing well and we have to be thriving.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, October 7th was like really hard on everyone. It was a rough time, but it's like Honestly, as long as you have good people around you, that's great. It's like also like when it all happened, like at the same time my grandfather passed away, and it's like I
Sorry.
had, sorry.
I said I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. It's okay. And it's like when I came back after the funeral, it's like a bunch of like my friends that I normally like sit next to like in law school, like they were all like, "Hey, like if you need anything, just let us know." Like, so sorry for everything. It's like it was really nice to have that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really good to
Times
have
like that you
people,
realize what matters for sure.
100%. So yeah, I mean, based off all of that, like the physical training, the mental care, all that stuff, what do you think made you improve every year in swimming? And it's like, what do you think has been like the overall key to like your success, like with 5 total medals?
Yeah. I think it's definitely sort of this like moving goalpost, if that makes any sense. So
Mhm.
I think every year I've started the season with like some goals. Other than maybe freshman year, to be totally honest with you, I had no idea of what to expect. I think I came in and I was just like, well, let's see what happens. And then as we got closer to conference, I was like, okay, I actually think I can win this thing. And I think that when I look at what's made me improve every year, it's definitely been this like reflection of okay, what are the areas that I need to address? And this is something that my coach has every single person on the team do, but also it's kind of the question of how disciplined are you to truly address these areas and make a change on the day to day. And whether it be something physical, like in the pool, like a technique thing that made me better, or something that I'm doing to take care of myself that made me better, you know? So I think, for example, my freshman year, I came in and my coach was like, your technique is kind of all over the place and really helped me like fine tune my technique. And then outside of that, I definitely was very motivated by swimmers who were better than me. And at the time, we had a butterflyer who was faster than me. Her name was Maddie. I love her. And she was faster than me and did several things better than me. So I would ask her questions about how she did her turns, for example, or how she approached this race or things like that. And I think that I learned so much from her because she was faster than me. And then my sophomore year, once I didn't really have a resource like that at my expense, I had to be a lot more self-reflective and like understand what are these areas that I need to address and improve on. Um, and I think that that went into a lot of my self-care and my regimen of like sleeping and eating and all of those things. I think freshman year, you're kind of just thrown to the wolves and try to figure it out. And then sophomore year, you're like, okay, I can settle down now and truly figure out like what things work for me. And then junior year, I moved off campus. So it was like even more, I had all of my routines up to like, I do this every night, and that makes me feel ready to go the next morning, you know? So yeah, it's always been a process of like, okay, what are areas that I need to address? And how do I address them? XYZ, this is the plan. And I'm going to check in with myself in a few months. How am I doing on this, you know? So even this year, I'm a senior. There's still things that I know I need to improve on. You know, I know that I'm not really the most punctual person on the planet, to be honest. I blame the Israeli, but I think that that's something that I'm working on this year. But there's also like a number of other things that I think will make me a better athlete, whether it be showing up an extra 5 minutes early to do my warm up or being more present at practice, focusing more on the smaller details. It's just
Mhm.
kind of all of those small things I think will add up to success at the end of the day.
Oh, well, and like on top of college, it's like what was it like representing Israel in like international competition?
Yeah. For me, I was definitely very proud to represent Israel. I feel a great sense of patriotism to Israel, honestly, more than the US. I just feel a lot more connected to my Israeli roots. Um, so I think that for me, that was like a really great sense of pride. And when I swam with the Israel cap on, I felt really proud of the country that I was representing. I think that obviously there's a lot of hurdles that come with swimming for Israel that a lot of other international swimmers don't have to cross, for example. Um, like we cannot wear our team uniform when we travel. We can't wear our backpacks that say Team Israel. We can't really walk around with any of our gear outside of the pool. And obviously, like I know it's for our own safety, but it does kind of make you feel a little bit on edge sometimes and question your safety. Like, for example, last year there was a World Championships meet in Doha in Qatar. Um, and that we got cleared to go. We weren't sure if Mossad would clear us or not to go, but we got cleared. And in the end, we several swimmers decided like I don't feel comfortable going, and it's like, can you really blame anyone for not feeling comfortable going to
Mhm.
Qatar during a war? So yeah, there's definitely a lot of like things like that that I don't think people who swim for other countries have to deal with, but it's the reality of being an Israeli, let alone being a swimmer or representing them. And that's just something that we have to understand and accept, but also like how can we use that as motivation to achieve the most amount of success for Israel that's possible, you know? I kind of see it as like I'm wearing this cap. I want to make an Olympic team for Israel. I want to medal at these meets for Israel because I think Israel's done so much for me and my family and my history, honestly. Like, I wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Israel. So I have this great sense of pride and I want to achieve things for Israel.
And it's like, what was the process like getting invited by Israel? Like, how did they, contact you, reach out to you? How did they know who you were? Like
Um,
that.
so I became a dual citizen last year because my siblings were all already dual citizens because I think when they were born, it was a lot easier to travel to Israel if you were a dual citizen. But by the time I came around, I think that they lifted some of the travel restrictions. So my mom just never really thought to get us or get me Israeli citizenship. And then my dad was friends with a coach from Maccabi Haifa, and he reached out to my dad and was like, "Hey, your daughter like could really do some awesome things for our team. How about you get her some citizenship and like we get her over to Israel?" So they helped me work on citizenship. I got all the paperwork and then I went to their nationals for the first time in 2023. It was June 2023, I believe, or maybe May. Um, and the goal then was to qualify for an international meet. So I qualified for U23 European Championships at that meet and I ended up swimming in that meet in August, and that was the meet that I medaled in the medley relay for Israel, and then I also qualified for two finals. So I was really happy with how I did for my first international meet. But yeah, basically, like once I got dual citizenship, it was just a matter of how fast can you swim, what meets can you qualify for, and they don't really just like take someone. They're like, oh, you can join the team. It's more so like a you meet this qualifying standard, you're
Right.
on the team. You don't, you're not. It's cut and dry like that. So yeah, I think in swimming, there's always, like I said, a moving goalpost. Okay, you make Europeans, now you want to make worlds, now you want to make the Olympics. It's like you make one qualifying standard, there's always a next thing to come.
Yeah, 100%. And, like based off of all your goals, right? Other than graduating, what would you say your goals are next year? Like for next year?
Yeah. So these past 3 years, I've qualified for NCAA championships, but I'm yet to make a final at NCAA championships. It's easily one of the most competitive meets in the world. It's top 16 in the US make it onto finals, and I know that I have the capability to making it to finals, and that's something that I really want to do this year. I want to get to the meet and feel like there's no doubt in my mind that I can make a final and have like no semblance of any doubt or anything like that. So that's been a huge goal for a long time. Outside of that, I think if I could get a gold medal in all three of my events at conference this year and bring my team to winning conference championships, that would be incredible and really awesome and exciting. And then, yeah, outside of that, I'm just hoping that on the international stage, I can also make a world championships this year because there's one in Singapore this upcoming year. So, yeah, there's definitely a lot of big goals this year, even though it's not an Olympic year, there's still a lot to be motivated by.
Yeah, and God willing, you'll do every single one of those goals and more.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, so the way the show works, the first question always comes from me, and the last question also always comes from me. And that's if you had to give one piece of advice to the people watching right now, what would you tell them?
I think I would definitely say that you belong where you have achieved. So, I think that I've definitely really struggled with imposter syndrome in the past, but I think there's a reason why you are where you are. You've worked for it, and you just need to trust yourself that you belong here and you've done everything in your power to get here. And any more that you achieve is thanks to you and thanks to your success and your achievements. And no one handed you this, you earned it. So live it, cherish it, and be excited by it. Don't feel like you don't belong here. So, yeah, that's my advice. Imposter syndrome is your brain telling you that you're not good enough, but you are.
You belong, everybody. Arielle, thank you so much for coming on. I really, really, really appreciate it. If you guys like this episode, please make sure to like and subscribe. If you guys want to see who's coming on next, what's going on with the show, all my links are going to be down below. If you guys want to see what's going on with Arielle, I'm going to add her links down below as well. And with that, this has been the USB podcast. My name is Evan Toronto, and I'll see you guys next week.
Yup.
Up.